Hoist the black flag high, let the cables hum. Code and cannon ready, futures beating like a drum. Charts are drawn in circuits, treasure maps in AI. We're sailing for the edge where bold ideas never die.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Pirates Only, a podcast where we bring together early stage founders, typically building in the same industries or spaces, to talk amongst each other about what they're building, what they're seeing in the space they're building and beyond. And today I have two very special guests, Dan, CEO of Firestorm, Michael, CEO of Aurelius. We have a rule on this pod that I don't butcher the details on what you're building because I tend to ramble way longer than I need to. So I usually kick it off to the guests pretty quickly. Dan, let's start with you. Can you give a quick 2-minute version of what Firestorm is building?
Absolutely. So I thought of the idea for Firestorm based on fighting ISIS drones in 2015, 2016. ISIS used DJI off-the-shelf drones and basically fought the U.S. to a standstill in Mosul until they brought a bunch of, we'll say it, non-prime products in there that could actually attack the signal hopping and jamming of these off-the-shelf products. And what I was really impressed by was how basically ISIS was able to, with a $3,000 product, take away the idea of like kind of precision in guiding things with a very low cost drone. We've had a monopoly on that since the end of the Cold War, and these drones really changed that. So in the build up to war in Ukraine, I was like, man, you know what we're going to need is a lot of drones, and we're going to need to support countries around the world who have non-benevolent neighbors who want to take over their land, with basically allowing them to have how do we turn them all into porcupines? And so the thought was, ISIS is able to do this. Why don't we basically bring mass producible drones to folks? So we started with a modular multi-mission drone that was 3D printed. And the whole idea was rethink the process of building drones from the ground up, stop building these things like some sort of artisan Ferrari, start stamping them out like they're Toyota Camrys. And in the process of basically building that drone that could do multi-mission, we were approached by the end user and they said, hey, you know what we actually have a really big problem with is resupply. Could you put your industrial 3D printer in a box and send it to us so we could actually build these drones where we need them, as opposed to waiting months for a resupply to come? So with that in mind, we started building what we call the XL. The XL is one of our hero products. It is an expeditionary manufacturing facility. HP, whose printers we use in there, saw what we built. They came to us and asked us for a decade-long exclusivity because they want to go sell this to the commercial space. They view this as the future of contract manufacturing. You can drop a factory in a parking lot, you plug in power, you print for 6 months, you pick it up and you leave. So XL's really grown, and basically there's a symbiotic relationship between the 4 different drones we now make out of XL, the repair parts, the other people's drones we're now working on building out of XL as well. And we see this world of contested logistics, which is, again, one of the Department of War's 6 priorities for the next decade, as being kind of unsolvable unless you solve it at the point of need as quickly as possible. So this week, we're debuting a new piece of software that lets me, as a non-technical founder, be able to see any factories I have up and running anywhere in the world, and the ERP, so the supply chain that can plug into it. And now, as soon as a drone leaves the line, I can order another one at the click of a button. So that's how we think we're going to solve expeditionary manufacturing. It's going to be, contested logistics. It's going to be expeditionary manufacturing matched with centralized manufacturing capabilities to create this very robust web of manufacturing capability. So that's what we do at Firestorm. We build stuff, we build the software to make it easier to build stuff, and we build the factories that enable that.
You can tell that this man just raised a successful Series B because that pitch was perfect. So,
locked in.
Yeah, locked in. We'll definitely dive deeper.
Dan, you stole my car analogy. I'm doing the car analogy. The Ferrari
car analogies here.
Who gave you the car analogy?
Well, I haven't heard you. I thought it was mine. I thought you gave it to me. I haven't heard you use it before.
I lend-leased it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I see.
It's a good car analogy for a car analogy. We'll definitely dive deeper
Alrighty.
into some of the reasons why what you're building, Dan, is certainly in today's world so important, but also ties into what you are building, Michael. So give us a rundown on what you're building and maybe a brief story of why you started as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I started out in the optics industry at one of the main American optics prime, building high power fiber laser systems for material processing, and we did a bunch of work in directed energy as well. And then I moved into sales, and we would support a lot of directed energy components as well. And at this time, like early 2020s, there are not too many companies doing this. And basically, everyone is making a Ferrari. Dan, everyone is making a very bespoke, super pimped out laser system, $200 million for a giga laser. Really cool. These systems can shoot down like MQ-9s from 10 miles away in a couple seconds. So they're really cool. The problem is the systems are like hundreds of millions of dollars. You can't make them in any kind of scale. It's a big issue. That time, I had probably a little bit later than Dan, but I had seen, a lot of things happening in the drone warfare space, mass produced. I'm not going to go over the whole drone thing. It's probably been said a billion times, but especially for small drones like Group 1s, Group 2s, and like even Group 3s as well. Like directed energy is a really, really attractive way if you can get to actually do a hard kill on a system for a very low marginal shoot down cost. While the operational benefits are quite robust, right? Like if you can hold hundreds of kills within a battery charge, like a commercial battery for a laser system, which is what we do, you're starting to talk about, on a $20 electricity charge in a battery, tens of millions of dollars in ordnance offset for actual drone shoot down. So that's extremely attractive to our end users and our end operators as well. Problem historically has been CapEx is obscenely prohibitive to actually get some of these systems out there. So at Aurelius Systems, what we focus on is in a world where everything is a Ferrari, hyper bespoke, extremely hard to repair in the field. We want to be not the Toyota Corolla, the Ford F-150, Dan. It's about being Ford Motor Company. It's about being FOMOCO in this world.
We love Michigan.
Exactly. I'm a co-founder and I are from Detroit. We have an office there, and we work out of there as well. And so it's really fun. It's really great. Vertical integration is a big thing that we launched, I think, in the last couple of weeks. Matt, I can talk about that a bit, but basically, it's clear that there's a big supply chain issue for the laser sources in our country, and so a big focus for us is vertically integrating, making our own sources, and then working in the civilian industry as well for the laser cutting, annealing, SLS, 3D printing. Dan, we're gonna make some lasers. Maybe we can make 3D printers. What do you think? Let's get distracted. Let's go on a let's go out in there.
That big round dog, and then I have a bunch of ideas for how we can waste the money.
Gotcha. We have some pretty legit announcements coming out in the next month, so we can talk a little bit
is
more
part of that,
after
Michael, obviously for your own individual needs, but are you going to resell that ability as well then to third party providers?
Of course. Enlight is a company that exclusively does high-power fiber lasers for directed energy and material processing, but their stock's up like 700% this year on their directed energy sales specifically. Market's exploding. There's probably like 3 factories in the country that even make laser sources for directed energy. Like we would just sell. I mean, there's a ton of other directed energy stuff that you would do other than the small system. We'll get there eventually, but right now we will definitely sell into other directed energy component companies as well.
How often a day do you get to say the phrase,
which
fire the laser?
When we're at, it's part of the operating procedure for a, or I don't know, we don't say that verbatim, but like firing laser.
Swag, though? You gotta have swag with those on there with your logo.
And it's just
we have swag like coming out. Not that, dude. My CTO wants to die. He gets that all the time. It's so often.
I'm sure.
He's just like, please stop
even in
telling
VC meetings.
Stop telling me about lasers on sharks. Stop
Lean into it. Lean into it.
Brand is everything.
All right, we'll put out some lasers on sharks material.
I have one of those like Unit X patches around here somewhere from the Ukraine dudes or the DIU guys, and their motto, their patch was a shark with a laser on its head.
It's so funny.
Gotcha.
I think, Dan, you guys are some of the kings of swag, even like, and you make them like one off. It's not stuff that people really know about, but I feel like at some of these events, people will come back, be like, oh, Dan was handing out these patches or these shirts or these like tiny things. And then no one ever like, you can't get them anywhere else. They're very exclusive.
Give me a minute. I'm going to show you.
Find some there.
Matt, we do have a sleeveless turtleneck design coming out.
Oh, sleeveless turtleneck.
Sleeveless turtleneck.
What is the purpose of the sleeveless turtleneck?
Who is making design decisions in this company?
Me. I found a picture of it. I sent it to marketing, and they have a design ready.
Do you have sleeves
I
on?
have sleeves on, but I shouldn't.
Rip them off.
I shouldn't.
Do it live.
Actually, maybe that's the thing. It's a rip-off sleeve turtleneck shirt.
Come over here, buddy. I'll
with
take
buttons,
care of your
with buttons. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dan, what do you got? Yeah, there you go. Yep, China
Yeah.
Bad Boy Club.
That's
it's an
pretty
exclusive
sick.
club.
We were put on the Chinese sanction list, so I ordered about 5,000 patches from China to see if it worked in India.
That's the list.
Bad Boy Club, and of course they showed up because China is spectacular capitalists.
That's the list I want to be on. Holy crap! Are you
some other
sanctioned
cool
personally?
ones too. We make customized. No, just the company. We make customized like coins where we go. Like when we had NATO in the office. We did that thing where we rented the parking lot across the street at AUSA. We called it Battlefield. We're doing that right now. It's Soft Week. I don't know when this is going to be released, but we do this where I find parking lots next to events, and then I do 5 to 10 year leases on them, so that I don't have to pay $50,000 to $200,000 to go put my XL in there. And then this is a really popular one too. It's our XL. It's our 20-foot.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it pops out, and then you have your drone factory all set up here.
Can I? Do you have any more of those? Like I said earlier, my son would love that. All right, I'll make a pickup there. All right. Well, this isn't a swag wars conversation, although we could go down into that. In fact, one of the things that that is so sweet. That is so cool.
Ta-da!
All right, Michael, the bar is set. You need to start at least with the laser swag, but you need to move into printable objects as well. Actually, you should just bring little mini lasers. I don't know how hard those are to do. I know they're like banned in so many places now, but just little laser, like the little pointer lasers.
Yeah, make a little one for sure. Yeah. Little laser pens, with the back end. Totally.
Once we can
I swear to you, dude, you guys have no idea. The sleeveless turtleneck is going to be so hot. Every gym you go to, people are going to be in. We're just going to make more money on that.
Reindustrialized.
Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen a sleeveless turtleneck?
What Michael's actually saying is he's been on steroids for a year. And he wants to show his arms off. He's like, I want a way to justify this.
Yeah, exactly.
Going through his finances, they're like, dude, you spent like $40,000 on self-care this year. He's like, yeah, blood though, big dude. I got to show off the freaking turtleneck.
Sleeveless turtleneck. It's a recruiting cost. You'll have the most fit team at least. That'll be something there.
And crop tops.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. You guys make crop tops, Dan? For the ladies?
I don't think they want me in one. Just a big old fat belly with some tattoos on it. It'd be great.
God. All right, but like I said, this isn't swag wars. Sorry. In fact, one of the things that we've been trying to do this episode for a while, and the original title was going to be like drones, and more drones. And I still think it applies today. So from the VC lens, we see, if I could put a category of like the most common product or like service or company idea that I see, it's drones in one way, shape, or form. It's either making the drones or building a piece for drones or shooting down drones or any of these drones. Underwater drones, above surface drones, underground drones now, all over the place. Could you, maybe Michael, starting with you, could you talk a little bit about this industry, just the drone industry in general? Is it a bubble? Is it still as hot as it kind of feels? Is there enough demand out there to do that? But then also, why did all of a sudden, it feels like over the last few years, and there's probably a very obvious answer, why did drones all of a sudden become the most important thing that we need in this country and that the rest of the world is still starving for as well?
Yeah, for sure. Let me comment about, so I'm counter UAS. Let me comment about drones, then ask Dan, and then ask Dan about counter UAS also, and then I'll
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, we'll chop it up. And then Dan, if I'm ignorant, just let me know. But basically, I mean, we exist as kind of like a, we know that like proliferated drone warfare is massive, especially for our enemies, and then we will continue to produce our own as well, and we will continue to scale up the companies that exist. And so as a response to that, we exist for counter drone to address the biggest question in warfare, the biggest step function in warfare. Probably on the order of gunpowder, maybe on the order of like on the lowest end, maybe the action, like the idea of like a Mauser action rifle versus like a blunderbuss is kind of how it is. There's massive step function. Non-state actors can proliferate ridiculous amounts of destruction in a way that they couldn't before. I think in the like going to like kind of more like market or like financials. I don't know how you want to call it, but in my mind, Dan, let me know what you think about this. I feel like there are a lot of there are like COAS companies coming out right now. I don't see that many like new drone companies coming up. I get the feeling that the drone companies that are going to win exist right now and have existed for a while, like Firestorm.
I would agree.
Like I think you guys are 4 years old, 5 years old, Dan, something like that. Yeah. Like I don't know if I would go start a drone company like right now, like in the
we
Western
still see,
ecosystem.
I would still say that if I could pick a category of the most common startups that we see wanting to get started, it is building new drone companies though. So there's still a demand, or there's a perceived demand. Founders out there are waking up thinking we need to go start a drone company still to this day.
But one way attack strike drones, I think, is different from like, are you using a drone for some like civilian application, right? Not every drone is not every drone, not every drone.
Focused,
right?
is what I'm
so if
to here.
like if you're like, I'm gonna go make a group 1 like a Neros, or I'm gonna go make a mass producible group 2 like a Firestorm, for example, I don't know if I would do that. You're gonna have a really hard time because there's gonna be more than one. And our space is exactly the same. Like, there's going to be more than one. There's not going to be 200. There's going to be like 5, 10, 15, something like that have a scale differentiator, right? That are able to be successful and reach the market multiples that they need in order to provide a good return to VCs. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know. Dan, what do you think, since you
I totally agree. I mean, I look at everyone saying, well, Anduril is going to solve this problem. And then you look at their production numbers, which were shared and wired, and you're just like, the VCs are actually missing it. I think there is space for a couple more. I also think the bigger size drones are totally wide open. If I was starting today, I'd go build a big drone. From
like
scratch.
A Lucas, like a Shahed clone.
Yeah, a Lucas or bigger. For sure.
What kind of
and
like I feel like the flying Dorito shape is like, like the bullet is the optimized, right? Like the bullet is the optimized thing to kill people, to do what it does. It's evolved over 500 years. It's perfect. Is the flying Dorito, the $10,000 flying Dorito, is that the optimized shape for like a one-way group 2, group 3 type strike drone, or like a group 3 like big thing? What do you think? No.
I will not answer that question too. Maybe in about a year, I'll answer that question.
Do you guys, for the audience here too, what's the difference between group 1, group 2, group 3? Is it just size based? And what are those sizes to kind of distinguish those?
It's vibes based.
Vibes based.
It's vibes based. It's vibes based. There's general guidelines. I think it's based on like weight, like payload capacity. Right.
Do you have an idea? What are those weights like roughly?
Group 1 is, oh my gosh, I should know it off the top of my head. Group 1 is like, I think like 50-pound max.
Okay, so like
payload
really
weight,
small,
something like that.
Yep.
Lower.
It's lower.
Oh wow.
So because group 2 is 55-pound max.
Okay.
Group 1 is less than 20 pounds. And it operated altitudes under 1,200 feet. Group 2 is 21 to 55 pounds, and they operate up to 3,500 feet. Group 3, this is where it gets really weird. It is from 55 pounds to 1,320 pounds. And that can go to 1,800 feet. Group 4 is 1,300 pounds that operate below. They weigh way more than 1,320 pounds, and they operate below 18,000 feet. And then Group 5 is that same weight, but above 18,000 square feet. And
where do you just get to like a plane?
Precisely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then where does a drone? Because I think when people think of drone, they think of like the consumer drones they see flying around in parks. But when we talk about drones here on this podcast, it's essentially are we thinking just autonomous vehicles that are flying like on their own type of drone? Is that what we would kind of consider for the audience here?
No, I think that a drone is also like a small, like pilotable drone, like a DJI that you could go buy at Best Buy. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think just the concept of drone is and probably will continue to change based on like what we're seeing. Cause like now when I talk to like, my uncles who like, they're dudes, so they know a little bit about war. They're like, yeah, so like I see all these drones the Ukrainians are making, and in their brain, there's no difference between like the FPV, so the small little quadcopter frame, and then also like basically a Cessna that has been put a Starlink on it full of explosives. It's very interesting. So I think that's how I think we should describe it not from like oh, we know better than you, but from like a layperson's um, approach, if that makes sense. Or at least that's how I would recommend we do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
How much, I mean, this is kind of the hint on there, but maybe for you, Dan, how much did the war in Ukraine kind of kick off this all of a sudden perceived demand for drones? Is that kind of a point in time that you look at as being like a before and after moment?
uh, I think the people who understand what was happening in Ukraine, it was. But then I would say until the war in Iran recently, you still had people saying that drones were a Ukraine thing. Okay.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
and I'd hear that in the Pentagon, and that is super disturbing. That's super frustrating. Um, and maybe because
Saying
it's
that
just
it's not an Iran thing, it was just a Ukraine thing and that problem is solved, or how do
no,
you mean?
it was a Ukraine problem. Like that's just how
Got it.
wars fought, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the Shaheeds start blowing up all of the global oil infrastructure. And they're like, oh, well, I guess it is a real thing. Do you know what I mean? And so I believe there is going to be a drones race, a drone arms race. It's who can build the most, who can hide them in plain sight too. It's going to be almost like mutually assured destruction with drones. Like this is the new nuclear weapons. I strongly believe that because you could cripple a whole country if you have the things in the right place. Again, don't think of drones as toys. Think of them as basically an equalizing force for owning precision. So in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, we owned precision with our like cruise missiles, right? We built GPS. We had this ability to like do pinpoint strikes because we knew we were not going to build as many tanks as the Soviets. Okay. Now with the cheap, like the cost of consumer electronics bringing all these things down, now precision is in your pocket, right? We no longer have the kind of monopoly on it. And so, basically for most drones, like they allow you to be precise either with GPS or not GPS. It's pretty fascinating. And then when you layer on vision models on top of it, this is why from day one, I've literally said the only way, as a former RF counter UAS guy, the only way you will be able to stop drones in the future is with a kinetic takedown or frying their laser or frying their optics with a laser. That's why I loved Michael's company from the moment I heard it. Like I just believed in it. So
I definitely want
Thanks,
to dive
baby.
into the laser piece just from a high level and context setting here. What is, you mentioned that we're behind on the drone side. Can you put a number on it? Like how many drones do you think we have in the United States versus how many drones do you think exist in like China?
you are not going to like what I'm about to tell you. Ukraine says they will build anywhere from 3 to 7 million drones this year. The Russians say they will build similar numbers. The Chinese, I assume, will be
10,
somewhere in
10x.
between 10.
Dude.
If they want to build
Yeah.
drones, they could build
Yeah.
100 million. Right. Okay. I think we'll probably build 30 to 50,000 drones this year.
Oh my gosh. Is the why it seems like, I mean, the Ukraine war is not something that is new. This is why I think, from the VC side, we still see founders and companies that are going, we need to build more drones. Have you seen the numbers? Like we're an order of magnitude behind. Is it a lagging thing? Is it there are companies out there that are building it, but it just takes obviously time to scale it up? Or what's the bottleneck?
I think it's the bureaucracy. I think that like the government's trying with a bunch of these new kind of ways in which to like fund companies. But I think there's also just a general thought that like Anduril will be the innovation solution for stuff. I think that's, historically there's 5 to 10 winners. That's my take. And I think we're going to be a winner here because of our approach, both like centralized and decentralized manufacturing and then doing sustainment, which sustainment's something no one talks about. Hey bro, do a upper decky instead.
I got 2 in, dude. I'll put in
good.
another 2 during the
Great.
course of this, dude. I'm in the zone.
But I don't think you've seen the contracts really materialize. I think drone dominance is a good first step, but the government's still addicted to buying expensive stuff, right? You look at what Australia and the UK have done. They basically ripped up their defense doctrine when it comes to drones, and they're like 20% exquisite, 40% multi-use, and they each have different definitions of that. It could be 50, 20, 100 times, 40% single use. That is a spectacular way to think about drones, right? That is a spectacular way to spend your money. Because if you saw Zelensky, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, he's like, it costs me $1,000 to kill a Russian soldier right now. That's what it cost me. And I'm killing 90% of them with drones. So He's like, it's a math game at this point. Like, that's how good we are at building them and deploying them. Just keep the money spigot going, and we'll just, it's a meat grinder over there. It's pretty crazy. So that's my take.
Well,
Michael, what do you think?
Yeah.
About scaling up manufacturing, I totally agree with in terms of VCs in the private capital markets have totally leaned forward on this, which I think we should be really proud of as a country, that like people actually care, and like there's a lot of money from the private markets flowing into this space. I think, and a lot of the companies like Firestorm and some of the other leaders, like, and we as well on the CUAS side, like we should have enough capital to like last out through the bureaucracy. It'll probably like as the contracts come through. But those can't come soon enough because you need the end users to come through with contracts to scale up the production. And it's really crazy because, Dan, I don't know if you experienced this, I would imagine so, but like to even qualify to bid and have a successful chance of winning a major contract, you have to have your supply chain and your production capacity done. You have to be tooled up already. Like there's no you win the contract and then you tool up, right? So you're ready, you're burning money when you set this thing up, right?
It's criminal what he is describing, and it is real. It is a huge problem, right?
Yeah. So that's the bottleneck right there.
And the private markets, but the private markets will give you, there's like markups in defense, like the rounds are bigger and everything, because of and hardware especially, because like the rounds are bigger to be able to supply it. But you definitely raise like larger rounds for sure, and you dilute more. Because you need to be able to live, and like a random act of Congress, like this didn't affect us too much, I don't think, but like Sibbers died for a year, and so there was a whole pre-seed wave of 2025 that probably was stunted like 6 to 9 months from the Sibber stuff not coming through, right? And so you got to like navigate it. I'd say like the Trump administration and the current one is a pretty aggressive one compared to we started in the Biden administration, and like we got all the signal that we needed, and it was good at the time. But like definitely, like I think if you started in 2017, like it was probably really hard to live long enough to continue up here. But it's clear, but everyone knows, right? Like Dan, you're saying you're talking to people in the Pentagon. Like we've seen that. Like some people are like, oh, like we only want X, Y, or Z that was important 10 years ago. For sure. But like all of our like people that we talk to, like everyone's really, really excited. People are leaning forward. It is definitely faster than 3, 4, 5 years ago. It is definitely faster, but I would just make an argument.
And it still needs to be
it's
faster.
Not fast enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So we touched on the drone, kind of the manufacturing side. Dan, you kind of set up the T for the counter drone, and Michael, what you're building maybe being the only or the best solution to truly meet the demand. You mentioned millions of drones being produced by adversaries. We obviously can't produce enough drones to be the counterattack there. Maybe explain a little bit on what you're building. Lasers is kind of the easy way, but what exactly is happening? What are the lasers doing? And then why should it be the number one counter for this problem?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so let's fast forward 2 years, right? Like Dan's company and several of these other companies are making mass amounts of drone. We're making the 5 to 10 million a year that we need, and we're looking to scale up from there, right? If you make making a one-way attack drone is like less complicated than like making an interceptor drone for another drone with the explosive on it, and those can be really expensive. There are some companies that are trying to get marginal cost down to low tens of thousands of dollars per system. But right now, where we moved to is like we moved from the, several $100,000 missile or $1 million missile down to like the $1 to $250,000 kind of Anduril drone type interceptor. There are people working on scaling out $50,000 interceptors, maybe something like that. But at our company, we just look where the ball is going, and it's all about the whole like driving core KPI in the business side for us is like marginal cost to shoot down, and then the operational capacity of having that. So what we essentially offer is like $1 or less marginal shoot down cost. And, electricity, we use electricity as our ammunition. Your magazine is essentially the battery that's there in our system, or the fuel that is being used to generate electricity from your alternator in your vehicle. And so that has a massive, massive, massive marginal cost utility there. And that's something that our end users are really, really excited about and really, really focus on. So let's say you could even make the $5,000 missile or $5,000 interceptor, right? You're still like a couple multiples of the cost of the drone, but it's not too bad. And you could probably produce at scale, but you can't carry like 500 missiles, right, in a truck, like depending on the size, right? And then how do you resupply that, right? And so what we're able to do beyond just that very, very low marginal shoot down cost on the hard kill is we give you hunt like tens of millions of dollars in ordnance equivalent. I said this earlier, tens of millions of dollars in ordnance equivalent just in a battery charge on our system. So it's really attractive here. That's what we really focus on. And I think what's really attractive as well is, we are able to essentially get, like, I'm not going to talk about specific ranges, but like if you use a kinetic method like a machine gun, for example, your range is extremely, extremely limited, and your end effector moves at several hundred meters per second, maybe something like 350 meters per second, 700 meters per second. Our end effect is many multiples of the distance that you can fire with a rifle or a saw or something like that. And our end effector moves at 300 million meters per second. It literally is physics limited by the speed of causality. So we can instantly target. When we turn on, we instantly hit target. And what we really focus on is very, very high precision to be able to keep spot on target for, a short period of time to be able to get a kill. So that is really, really, really what we focus on. We bring speed out into the field. We bring distance out into the field. And the distance that we're shooting on is something where you have to use like a Block 3 missile, or you have to use like a $200,000 interceptor. And so we really focus on getting that capability out, get the standoff distance out to protect our troops. Right now, the way the U.S. Army works, and our first customers are the Army, the way that we kind of prosecute warfare, right? We're extremely aggressive by doctrine, generally. And we love to do fire and maneuver, and we move, we fire, we move, we fire, everything like that. The Ukrainians can't move at all. You can't leave the trench. You get blown up the second that you're out there. And so, we have like there are Abrams that are deployed in Ukraine. They stop deploying them. They get blown up by drones. It's crazy. So that's the future survivability of our main battle tank, right? And at least our first product, the Archimedes, like the small, lightweight, edge deployed, totally autonomous battery powered turret, is really focused on unlocking fire and maneuver again, doing a Dukes and Crews type style counter IED thing for making these bubbles of defense for your maneuver elements. So that's what we're focused on. That's everything like that. If you want, we can talk about the general CUAS market as well, but it really comes down to like missiles or interceptors, RWS modifications, and then directed energy is really what's out there.
It seems like one of those things where you hear it and it's like, well, of course that should be the best solution out there. What is the hard part about bringing it to like full scale? Like why isn't it the first thing that people think of, and why are you the leader in doing it? Yeah,
for sure. People have been let down a lot by like the Giga Laser projects.
Yes,
so like the $100 million super lasers that are they're sick. They're incredible pieces of technology.
The Death Star lasers,
which is awesome. They're dope. I think the thing is, like before we had to address like a counter drone application, we were gearing up, and this is true across everything. We were gearing up to compete with like sovereign full state adversaries that are fielding tanks and aircraft carriers and stuff. And so for something like that, like a small missile, you might want to use like a Giga laser. There's a use case there, I would say. But what we really realize is that a lot of this is a robotics and AI issue. A huge amount of what I focus on research and development and production is developing software. We don't buy software from anyone. We build the entirety of our fire controller. We run AI on the edge. We care about inference, latency, everything like that. And so that allows us to get an ultra precise targeting system that works for a laser, which you can't buy, like barely anyone makes that. And then on the laser side, we essentially have to address the big supply chain issue on our end by producing our own laser sources. And we get cost down by leveraging commercial laser systems instead of the super pimped out like AFRL.
Let's think forward, 3 to 10 years. There's probably multiple layers as it goes into it. But Dan, when you think of the future of warfare, it's going to probably continue to evolve. Where do you kind of see it going? Does it, obviously, I think of drones today, I don't know if it's more of a one versus many. Drone swarms are the thing that people talk about now. Is that kind of the next layer of it, or where do the evolutions kind of go from here?
I don't want to look into my crystal ball. I think we're still like out there a little bit of ways for like AI and swarms. One of the big things that, as a RF counter UAS guy, a lot of the swarm technology, it communicates on RF. And my whole thing is like, dude, you're talking like gnarly ComSonite environments, and you're going to be trying to like send each other signals. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Do I think, because I know we might be building it, that you can like give something a picture of something and it will go hunt for that thing? That is like already being built and deployed. You're seeing that in Ukraine as well. I think really what you're going to see is whoever can scale the hardware platforms that allow for different pieces of software to very easily be put on and interoperate with it. So like turn the drone into an iPhone and just run a bunch of different apps on it. That will determine what direction we go. Okay. So I think that you got to go back to Stalin or like the picture behind me, right, of all the airplanes flying over Tokyo Bay at the end of World War II, and realize that quantity has a quality all of its own, right? Having a lot of stuff and then trying to shoot those things down is very tough. It's very time consuming and it's incredibly costly. Um, but I also think that like we still in this country, and I think for a lot of folks, we're going to love the exquisite stuff that can do like pinpoint decapitation. You know what I mean? Like to knock out Iran, and I use that figuratively. We had to use a lot of different like very high and costly systems and bombs. I think that the day of the cruise missile is going to be um, short-lived. I think that that's basically what drones are going to be able to produce. They're basically cruise missiles already. They're just cheaper and they can't go as far. And when that's unlocked, I think that's going to be when the game changes, right? Because now you're not waiting for Raytheon to make 300 a year or 100 a month or whatever at 3 million a pop, right? You could go set up production lines globally and you just have this arsenal of 10,000 cruise missiles that you can rip.
Yep. Michael, thoughts on that? Any change of opinion there?
No, I think we're totally aligned. Totally makes a lot of sense. I mean, I guess something I would say is like the defense primes, there's a lot of stuff that probably doesn't make sense to make, but like we still need to be prepared to be competing with like how do you take out an ICBM? Like in flight, like what do you do about that, right? Like there's some massive, there are even more intense hyper lasers being built than any that have ever been deployed by US primes right now to address questions like that, right? And that's probably very, very useful. But there's this whole thing that Dan and I are focusing on the offense and the defense side that hasn't been focused on. That's like that's probably the greatest threat right now. I mean, I think we've lost 15, 16 soldiers in Iran so far, or something like that, during the Iran conflict in the region. And it might be more at this point. And like they're dying from FPV drone attacks. Like it's not enemy aircraft carriers or enemy tanks or enemy infantry, right? That's just not what's happening. We can defend against those things. So that's what I think about.
Yep. Aside from drones or maybe some of the things that you guys are building, are there any other defense technologies or aerospace technologies that you guys are excited about right now?
Michael, you want to go first?
You go.
I'm incredibly excited by unmanned ground vehicles. If you look at how aggressively they've been deployed, this has been the silent killer in Ukraine in the last 3 to 4 months. This is why Ukraine is actually gaining land. A Ukrainian commander who helped design the entire original drone army. I interviewed him on my podcast. I asked him like, what was your big learning? And he said, nothing is more powerful than a 50 caliber machine gun close to human beings. Okay. And I mean, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, we're just putting 50 cals on these things now. And we are coordinating with air and land. It's basically everything we've done as humans combined arms. It's being recreated on the battlefield right now. And I think it's going to be incredibly powerful.
So what do these look like? Are these just like 4-wheeled vehicles? Are these like humanoid robots, or what does that look like?
I'm not to the point where we're going to have like figure drones with machine guns. I mean, the Chinese are saying they're working on it. Okay. But like tracked and untracked vehicles that can carry heavy amounts of stuff. Because in a drone conflict, I don't know if you guys see this, but like the Russians are using donkeys and horses to do resupply now. I mean, they're actually out of vehicles. Like, think about what that means, right? That means everything we have designed from a warfare perspective over the last 100 years since we had cars in World War I, that is just going away. And the kill zone, like when the war started, was like a couple kilometers. Now it's 50 to 60 on each side. Okay. So I mean, it's like a total rethink of what is happening. And so how the war is being kind of prosecuted now is attacking supply chains deeper and deeper so that you can starve the people who are on the front line who actually have to hold the ground. So ground robot with gun holds ground. That's like where we're getting to. And it is terrifying and crazy to see.
I don't know. I see the videos online. I don't know if they're true. I think most of them are AI, but you see like the dog robots with the attached turrets and things like that. That's kind of what I imagine in some of those things.
That'll be
Yeah.
part of it. I mean, you're seeing a bunch of that too. The Chinese are very open with what they're doing. They're going to use a lot of that stuff for like close quarter combat, and for like room clearing in urban environments. They're putting guns on the top of the dogs, so that's like what you have to take out first. It's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Love
Michael,
it.
what about you?
Space warfare. So I think in our space, like, how do you
Star Wars in real life? Yeah,
dude, without an atmosphere, like I have a really good range on my system. Without an atmosphere, it's like 10x. It's crazy. And so when you're talking about like low Earth orbit is definitely the first one. You know, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of enemy satellites, Russian and Chinese, that are, well, not technically enemy, but things we need to be prepared for, right? In terms of like how do you deal with like mass amounts of satellites in orbit, right? And that's how they get their connectivity. That's what you need to be prepared for. We have enemies that definitely have weapons in orbit, and so I think that in low Earth orbit, there's probably some kinetics you could do. You can make an argument about it, but if you're talking about like, let's fast forward 10 years. Like, what do you do about like translunar or trans-Martian warfare? Are you going to wait like 2 years for a missile to hit Mars, or are you going to wait like several minutes for your light pulse to hit Mars? Right? Like, we have this whole product roadmap. I've got Death Stars in my pitch deck. They're not called Death Stars. They're going to be a little bit smaller, a little bit more beautiful. I'll call them whatever you want them. You want them called that. But I think Reagan was ahead of his time, dude. Star Wars is real, is legit. There's a lot of things happening, and so especially as we continue and productize and move upscale into other products, we'll move up into orbit.
I mean, I think of obviously, the Star Wars Side One. I don't know if you guys have watched like the Expanse series, which goes into very specific like Martian versus Earth and the technology and kind of the advanced warfare that happens there. In the short term, though, what does that kind of look like? There, like you mentioned, there are objects in space that are, communication satellites being maybe one realm of those, but also defense and potentially like offensive applications of devices that are in space. What is it truly just going to be that we're going to start fighting and shooting in space, or is it going to be objects that are in space that are still just focused on the ground and then pointing downwards? Like, when does it actually become a true battle in space?
I mean, I think when you know that you are like, let's say all of the Starlink connectivity satellites are at risk from Chinese satellites that have precision optical gimbals on them that can blind and destroy solar panels on the systems, and they go down very quickly when they lose power. You don't have to blow up the satellite. You probably don't want to blow up the satellite because you cause massive amounts of issues in orbit if you do that 50,000 times, like if you had to do the 50,000 Chinese satellites. But no, I mean, I think a lot of it is like a deterrence. I mean, obviously, most of it is about creating deterrence to be able to, so that you're not totally blindsided. But like, let's say the U.S. and our allies and our military, like we just lost all orbital capacity and connectivity, we'd be totally fucked. Like, what do you even do? Like, you aren't capable of communicating. Like, you have very limited GPS capacity, probably. So that's a big issue. The orbit. So I'm talking about translunar, transmartian stuff. That's in the future. The orbital issue is here now, though. Like, that's something that needs to be addressed in the next several years for sure.
Is that something that you would be able to build with the lasers too, from the space perspective? How do the physics affect that? I mean, it's got to be a whole different.
It's way better. So it's way better if you don't have atmospheric issue.
Yeah,
way better, right? Like that's why everyone uses laser comms, right? Because you just propagate indefinitely, right? The distances you're dealing with are a lot further, but you propagate a lot further. You'd probably have bigger laser systems for weaponry up there. But that is, I mean, I think the way that we work, right, we'll be the only company that's making like thousands of directed energy products per year. And I have a really big belief in iterative and extremely fast rapidity, like iterative development and system development. I think that we're going to get much more advanced than other companies. Instead of like making 1 giga laser a year, we'll make like 1,000 small ones, and then we'll make 1,000 medium ones per year, and then we'll continue up the stack. And especially if we're vertically integrated, we'll be one of a vanishingly small number of, like, we'll be number 2 or something of directed energy companies that are vertically integrated in our supply chain.
When's the IPO, bro? I'm ready. Let's go.
Dude, we should, dude. What do you think about SPACing? What do you think about SPACing in 2026? What do you think about SPACing in 26?
SPACs are hot, baby.
They are
Dude,
hot.
They're back. We're so back.
Retail investors desperately want new defense companies.
I know. Did you see Swarmer? Yes. Can we talk about? I read the whole financial report for Swarmer.
Did you really?
Michael, what was their revenue?
310,000 with a forward look on $10 million
There
I
you
that
go.
they
thought it was
noted.
35,000. Maybe I read that wrong.
I don't know. I think it was last year was 300 grand. This year is like a little bit, or 2024 is 300 grand, 25. I think it was like 310, 320, 330, something like that.
Yeah.
And then there was a note in the filing that it was looking at $10 million in
Future
in
projection, yeah.
contracts. But the stock is holding. I don't know if you've checked. It's like up from its IPO. It's been out 5-6 weeks, something like that, maybe 7 weeks, and it's holding. It's doing well. Like retail wants
They do.
exposure, not just to defense, but to everything. I mean, retail's been so cucked for the last like 6 years, not being able to get into anything important.
One of the
So-
things that we talk about internally is that I think that there's an opportunity for so many companies to be the American investable vehicle for any industry, and to come out and vocalize it that way, where if you're building in energy, you could say, hey, we are the energy company of America. Instead of continuing to go and remain private, we're going to go public to give you, the American people, access to your energy future. And then you could apply that to every single, I think, category. And I think the market would like that. There's a whole narrative that you could put around it.
I love
Who
that.
knows?
I don't know what.
So you're going to do it so you're going to do it then?
What spec?
Yeah. When you go in public.
I don't know. Need this big contract that I've been told is coming.
No, your price can hold if you talk
Sorry.
about
I'm forward looking at
the contract
$70 billion
will
of revenue.
Yeah. I mean, we won that. We got a prime contract on the MDA Shield IDIQ, right? It's like a Giga IDIQ. Just say it's revenue. Just be like, yeah, my 150 billion direct in my bank account. I swear, the sales cycle is just long. It's just a long sales cycle. Don't worry.
The amount of questions I get asked from hedge funds, when they look at a bunch of these companies, and they're like, can you explain to me what an IDIQ is? So they want $1 billion IDIQ. I'm like, yeah. Like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. I'm like, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
I think it's somewhat legit if you're like, okay, I have these customers lined up for the task ordering. I have these contacts. This is how I'm going to run the deal. Like that's how you do it, right? But it doesn't immediately mean you're just gonna pull down everything, right? So
Yeah, of course.
We have a couple more questions here that founders all ask whenever we do these. A lot of the folks that are listening are founders that want to be in your shoes in the next handful of years. Dan, you just closed a $82 million Series B. You are well on your way and in the thick of it as you kind of grow into the scale. Any feedback from your stage on founders that are maybe just getting started today, be in defense or any hard tech? High-level advice on the marathon that you've done so far for them in the early days?
My number one piece of advice is always, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. If you cannot do that, this is a really, really hard and stressful world for you to be in. You can learn it. It will take you 5 or 10 years to train yourself to be able to flush. But some people also innately have that. I'm lucky to just be able to kind of manage it better than other people. I don't really gamble at all, but I gamble with my time. So that's just how I'm wired, and that's not like other people. That's the number one thing. The second thing I always say is it will take twice as long and cost twice as much money. Okay. So there is no such thing as over raising in hardware. That is just my honest opinion. I can only imagine if Michael's going to build a laser factory, how much money he's going to need, and then how much he's going to have to go to the OSC to fund. You know what I mean? I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? For us, as we look at what's our expansion plan, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars as well. I mean, so incrementally, getting to the next level and telling the story is really important, and it costs money, but it always costs more and takes longer than you think. I guess in the final thing, the third one, the DoD requires you, if you're going to be in this space, to be out there and show people stuff. You have to get the thing into end users' hands. They are not trusting customers for a lot of reasons, but they are reasonable, and they understand that we are doing very difficult things. So breaking things, crashing things, having things not work at demo, that is a very normal part of the process. Embrace it, embrace them, ask them for feedback. Oh, and then finally get an appropriator. First thing you should do, hire a lobbyist. Get an appropriator on your side, man. That's That's how you actually build defense
Yeah.
companies. And don't
Oh, yeah.
ever let anybody tell you differently. I'm glad Trey Stevens is now finally honest about the first person Anduril hired, right? Because it's not the best tech that wins. It's the best go-to-market game that wins, in my opinion.
Yep. Michael, you guys
Sure.
raised, was it 10 million last year? So not quite to the 82 yet, but I have no doubt that you will get there. Building in the earlier phases, any advice that you would give to founders that are in the kind of the early market that you are in today? Any advice that echoes maybe what Dan said or something new?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely echoing what Dan said. Lobbying for sure. Some of the very early things that we did, I probably got it from Dan on a call. Like just getting in Congress, talking to people, demoing all over the place, demoing as much as you can. We're hiring like a whole demo team basically to just be on the road 100% of the time, constantly demonstrating, constantly going all over the place. Super important. A little annoying, but it's okay. It is necessary. It is part of your sales cycle. It's very, very important. And then I would say, yeah, I mean, I'm basically just echoing what Dan said. Like I have some original things to say, but like on the idea of it taking a long time, raising more capital than you need. Like every round when I've done them, I've been like, oh, like, we like getting advice to take the money when it's on the table, have taken it. It's been a good decision every time that we've done it, even if I wasn't totally sure at the beginning. And then on internal resilience, totally for sure. I mean, basically, like you keep leveling up and you have these step functions in your company where like the team's bigger, things are more intense, things are more high stakes. And you definitely feel like anxiety about that. And then what I found is just I live like that for like a couple weeks, and then I wake up one morning and it's just okay, and I can operate. And then it like happens again like 3 to 6 months later, right? And that's just, I presume that'll continue for the life of the company. I'd say really good mentors, advisors, or like people on your board. So like Paige Craig is on my board, and he's incredible. He did this like pre-Palantir, very helpful. Finding a Mr. Dan himself early is very helpful. I mean, I don't even think we were incorporated, Dan, when we had started talking. A lot of it echoes for like the go-to-market stuff is important, I think, in every market for sure. But I think
it's less so. I think in hardware, we see more founders than certainly in software that don't think about the go-to-market stuff either early enough or are not prepared for it from a hiring perspective or anything there. So it is an important thing to echo, because I agree that many hardware companies are about to hit that reality, because I think there has been a lot of cash put into hardware over the last few years where the moat has been at least perceived to be the technology, which it is in some cases. But I think, Dan, you're exactly right. It's going to end up being a go-to-market war, certainly if you're selling into government, but also in consumer or enterprise as well. All right, guys, you guys are awesome. This was amazing. I think we need to do a round 2, especially as some of the world developments kind of continue to unfold here. So we'll schedule in a round 2 maybe for later this year. Excited to hear from the updates that you guys are having. Congrats on all the success. Dan, where can folks continue to follow you and Firestorm and continue that journey?
You can find me on LinkedIn. That's my main platform, because that's where the customers live. That's another good piece of advice.
Yeah.
But the Twitter Audi is good for raising money. LinkedIn's good for having customers reach out to you directly and say, I need this immediately. But I'm also on X. And so find us on both of those.
An incredible follow, I recommend. Michael, how about you?
Same thing. LinkedIn and X, those are the main things. Aurelius Systems, my name. On X, LaFrogman, all opinions, at LaFrogman, all opinions are my own. I post little spicy things sometimes. Maybe shouldn't. It's okay. At least for now. Maybe it won't be one day.
That's not true. The company endorses and pays for everything you do.
Yep.
We also need, send some pics. We'll post some pics of the sleeveless turtlenecks as those become available. We'll make a link in the show notes to the store when those are available as well.
You're going to like it. You're going to like it.
No doubt.
It's going to be good.
No doubt. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Next time, we're actually going to remove the sleeves while we are on air.
Just cut them
next
off.
time we'll just be wearing them. So we'll just be wearing them.
Yeah, sleeveless turtlenecks.
Yep, exactly. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Hoist the black flag high, let the cables hum. Code and cannon ready, futures beating like a drum. Charts are drawn in circuits, treasure maps and AI. We're sailing for the edge where bold ideas never die.